All right, guys, I'm back with the beginning of the book of Ruth. So we're going to be in chapter 1 of Ruth, and before we get into it, we're going to reflect on the purpose of this book. So my study Bible has these fantastic little preludes that we can sit here and read that'll give us some context as what we can expect as we read through the book of Ruth. So the purpose of this book is to show how three people remained strong in character and true to God even when the society around them was collapsing. They're unsure of who the author is, but they believe it to be Samuel. But internal evidence suggests it was written after Samuel's death. And then the date they believe it was written sometime between 1375 and 1050 BC. And so the header reads, Ruth remains loyal to Naomi. Elimelech moves his family to Moab. And we'll go ahead and get started. In the days when the judges ruled in Israel, a severe famine came upon the land. So a man from Bethlehem in Judah left his home and went to live in the country of Moab, taking his wife and 2 sons with him. The man's name was Elimelech, and his wife was Naomi. Their 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion. They were Ephrathites. They were Ephrathites from Bethlehem in the land of Judah. And when they reached Moab, they settled there. Then Elimelech died, and Naomi was left with her 2 sons. The 2 sons married Moabite women. One married a woman named Orpah, and the other a woman named Ruth. I'm going to read that sentence one more time, guys. The 2 sons married Moabite women. One married a woman named Orpah, and the other a woman named Ruth. But about 10 years later, both Mahlon and Chilion died. This left Naomi alone, without her 2 sons or her husband. Then Naomi heard in Moab that the Lord had blessed his people in Judah by giving them good crops again. So Naomi and her daughters-in-law got ready to leave Moab to return to her homeland. With her 2 daughters-in-law, she set out from the place where she had been living, and they took to the road that would lead them back to Judah. But on the way, Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, Go back to your mothers' homes, and may the Lord reward you for your kindness to your husbands and to me. May the Lord bless you with the security of another marriage. Then she kissed them goodbye, and they all broke down and wept. No, they said, we want to go with you to your people. But Naomi replied, Why should you go on with me? Can I still give birth to other sons who could grow up to be your husbands? No, my daughters. Return to your parents' homes, for I am too old to marry again. And even if it were possible, and I were to get married tonight and bear sons, then what? Would you wait for them to grow up and refuse to marry someone else? No, of course not, my daughters. Things are far more bitter for me than for you, because the Lord himself has raised his fist against me. And again they wept together, and Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye. But Ruth clung tightly to Naomi. Look, Naomi said to her, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods. You should do the same. But Ruth replied, Don't ask me to leave you and turn back. Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you live, I will live. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Wherever you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord punish me severely if I allow anything but death to separate us. When Naomi saw that Ruth was determined to go with her, she said nothing more. So the 2 of them continued on their journey. When they came to Bethlehem, the entire town was excited by their arrival. Is it really Naomi? The women asked. Don't call me Naomi, she responded. Instead, call me Mara, for the Almighty has made life very bitter for me. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me home empty. Why call me Naomi when the Lord has caused me to suffer, and the Almighty has sent such tragedy upon me? So Naomi returned from Moab, accompanied by her daughter-in-law Ruth, the young Moabite woman. They arrived in Bethlehem in late spring at the beginning of the barley harvest. And that's the end of chapter 1 of Ruth, guys. And so I like the tenacity of the ladies in this story. I think it's very unique, especially in a world that was truly ran by men, that there's the likelihood of them being able to be taken advantage of or physically harmed is so much more profound than in today's world, where people have tried to prioritize balance and equity. Back then, there were a lot of things. There were some assurances in the law that created balance for women, but it was through within the family confines of other brothers, of the husband that might have been slain in war or died accidentally. And without that, if it was just women left, that would have been exceedingly difficult. And it makes sense that they would want to return to the next of kin. So, that's amazing. And I really, because I don't know the story of Ruth that well. I know the name, and I know a couple of things that might be contextual as far as how the story is to play out, but I cannot remember the specific timelines or the specific events that happened. So I'm actually really excited to continue to read this. Other than that, I'm excited to see how God's going to move in these ladies' lives, especially since right now they feel like they're bitter and that God's against them, when we know that's never the case. So I know that it'll be lessons learned for me. On that note, have a good night. God bless. I love you. Jesus loves you. And I'll be back tomorrow for Ruth chapter 2, where the header reads, Ruth gleans in Boaz's field. Have a good night, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.